Welcome to another episode of The Raw CEO. I am your host, Elsa Felligo, and I'm here with our Raw CEO, Jeff Deutsch, and co-host. Hi, Jeff.
G'day, how are you?
I'm good. Happy 2021. And on today's episode, we're actually going to be interviewing another one of the co-founders, Matt, which is really exciting because a lot of people hear Matt on the podcast and probably... I think they know some of his background, but they probably don't know everything. And there's going to be some cool little questions that we'll ask him about, trends and products he'd love to create and all that jazz. So that's going to be fun too.
Well, part of the business that I love is actually talking to Matt about product concepts and ideas and, products that we always wanted to create for people or for ourselves. I always say that I'm Matt's muse. So in other words, Matt's genius, he goes away, he looks at ingredients and he comes back and he goes, well, hey, we could use this way or we could do this. And then I go, okay, is that actually commercially viable? Can we turn that into a product? So that's really fun. And I think, people obviously want to talk a lot about, how does the synergy between us work. And again, we've got to bring Tony onto the podcast, which I believe she's agreed, which is pretty impressive.
Great news. So also what I was thinking was each episode will start off with a little rundown. So obviously new year, new month, January. What are you excited for this month? It's a pretty big month.
Look, without...
we need a drum roll.
Pretty obviously... There's so much happening, and it's finally we can share some of it as well too. But the ice cream's launching this month, which is really cool. So, one of the big problems I think ATP has always been about bringing out products that we wanted to see or we wanted to have ourselves, or for our friends and family, or for athletes, where we're constantly getting the same sort of issue. And there's some good products out there in the marketplace. I mean, there's a $2 billion product out there in the marketplace right now. That some people would say is heavenly. No, look, Halo. And it's a really good product because it's delivering what people wanted. It spotted a gap in the market. What we also identified is that people wanted to get a high level of protein in the market as well too without having a huge amount of sugar. Something that, again, was natural because that's at our forefront is that we want to create products as close to being natural or natural as we possibly can.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about the ice cream is that there is nothing artificial in that product.
And it tastes so good.
It's great, and it's got a really good. We're launching with 5 products, but we're already looking at more. But yeah, high in protein. So I think there's about 35 to 40 grams of protein roughly in every large tub.
Yeah.
In terms of the total amount of calories, I can't even remember off the top of my head, but it's only slightly higher than Halo Top.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's higher is because it contains protein. So obviously you're getting the slightly more calories from protein. And I think people who are in the fitness market will forgive that, right?
Yeah.
So they still want something that's healthy, something that's good, low in sugar, really high in fiber, and again, all natural. So you've kind of got a beautiful product. And again, it's the taste, and it's by the taste that you live and die. Now, there's a couple of other products out there in the marketplace. And again, my hat's off to them because I've tried to do something new. But I think we're going to come over the top pretty strong because I think our taste is that much better.
And did you mention dairy-free?
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't.
Huge. That's huge.
So obviously, the fact that it's dairy-free. But do you know why? No way. But the funny thing is that the reason why I forget that it's dairy-free, and honestly, is because it actually does taste like dairy.
It does.
So, and I actually don't like to telegraph that too much because you know how people get an idea in their mind, it's like gluten-free, it tastes like crap. Well, the funny thing is there's some really good recipes coming out now that are gluten-free that if you gave it to somebody, in fact, my kids love watching this show called Sugar Rush. Have you ever heard of it?
I have heard of that, yeah.
They love it. And there was a couple that came on that and they were making a cake and one of the judges said, oh my gosh, this is so great. It was a guest judge. If you had told me gluten-free, she goes, I would never have tried it. But she goes, now trying it, she goes, this is amazing. I feel we've done the same thing with the ice cream. We've actually created something that tastes like dairy. But there's no dairy in there either, which is obviously great. Because for people like me, and it's funny because people go, oh, lactose intolerant, but a high percentage of the population are lactose intolerant, but they might not realize it because the lactose intolerance is only minor. It could be and what happens to me is I get really badly stuffed up. So if I have ice cream normally before going to bed, I'm sleeping in the spare room because I start snoring because I'm all congested, right? So mucus, and then you've got people who are highly, lactose intolerant as well too, where it gives them the runs, which obviously is really bad. But yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very exciting. Anything else happening this month? I think what else? I mean, we just launched before Christmas the No Way desserts as well, which is really exciting.
Well, it is, and the funny thing, I guess, the No Way desserts as well too is I always go, for men, we're pretty useless for the most part. Not all men, but a lot of men like me. I can't cook for nuts, and so as soon as you see an extra step, okay, you have to put it into a blender, I have to do it. But it's actually really easy.
No, it's so easy.
In fact, some of them you can actually use in a shaker, depending on the type of milk that you use. So for the purists that don't want any dairy, you can actually use it on almond or macadamia milk, and you use that in a shaker. So you just shake it up, whack it in, put it in the fridge or in the freezer. And I think in the fridge it sets pretty quick.
Yeah,
but
it's like 20 to 30 minutes.
And the freezers are, if you really want the jelly as well too, because you can put that in the freezer and set it. Just don't leave it there for too long. But yeah, we've got the jelly. We've got the mousse, so we've got a chocolate mousse and a banana mousse, and my favourite, which I think is coming out pretty soon, which is the white chocolate mousse, which is just so good.
Yeah, super decadent,
and
delicious.
then the panna cotta as well too. So these are really cool because I think people, again, we want to deliver products that are good for you, all natural, but really excite the taste buds so that as people, when they're on the diet, they don't feel like they're constantly missing out. And if we can give people products that are good for them, healthy for them, but yet taste really decadent and nice, then it's going to help people to stay on their diet. So, and I think whether you're a hardcore, you're not infallible. And also, obviously, for the everyday person, their problem is that typically they break their diet and they cave completely, and then they set themselves back, and then there's this whole loathing thing and all the rest of it. But if there's an escape that they can use where it's actually high protein, low sugar, but tastes great, well, you can have your cake and eat it too. That's the whole idea behind this.
Exactly.
Desserts, yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, I have just a couple of questions that that were more suited to you that came through. One on LinkedIn and one on Instagram.
Yep.
All right. Question 1, what do you think are the company's greatest strengths and weaknesses right now? So this is from Michaela Footer on LinkedIn. Greatest strength
is our ability to create new products. Our ability to, and I say that there's actually lots of strengths. We've got great people. We've got a very clear, defined path of what we want to do, who we are. Like, a lot of companies see an idea and then copy it, and then that's all that they've got, or they're what they call a one-trick pony. So they've got one product, and look, that's fine, and the business might do really well with that. But if a competitor comes into the market, or if for whatever reason you stuff up that product, you're in trouble, right? I mean, again, if you do it well and you're really polished with it and you protect it, then that's great. But talking to investors and bringing people on, and the company has obviously gone through funding and expansion and all the rest of it. One of the things that really resonates with investors and what gets them excited, which is obviously the ultimate litmus test as far as, is the company dynamic, is it credit worthy, is it worth investing in, is we have so much NPD. We've got so much new product development. We've got so many ideas. We're not commercializing half of the ideas that we actually have, which is awesome, because a lot of companies don't know what to do next. And they're like, there's actually not a lot of original ideas. And again, I'm not going to go on about it, but it really frustrates me, because that is the really exciting thing that drives the whole industry forward and, creates uniqueness in the marketplace. So that's probably our biggest strength, is the fact that we've got so many products. And not only that, like Matt and I sitting down with the patent attorney and looking at our IP, we've got that much more stuff coming as well too. In fact, Matt's made a discovery at the end of last year around the modbiotic, pre-postbiotic sort of category that is, I think, category defining. Now, our biggest problem is the fact that oftentimes we're too far ahead of the market. And that leads into probably the question of what is our biggest problems? Regulation. I understand, and I there's a lot of bad characters out in the marketplace, but over-regulation, even when we've got all the information and evidence, that frustrates me greatly. Now, I understand it because I think a lot of companies have gone out there and made unsubstantiated claims that have fooled the market, fooled the market. But at the same time, when you've got peer-reviewed evidence, when you've got Lancet studies on some of these herbs and some of these products, and you can't share that about what your product does and how it works, that kills me. That really frustrates me. And it's not just here in Australia; it's also in the US. It's becoming more regulated as well too. And I think it's throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I understand it. I don't like it, and I'd actually really like to be part of a dialogue with the government to be able to actually ratify the information and evidence that's put forward. The problem is that it's very difficult to be able to change the system, especially when you're a small company. Now, we're up against, effectively, if you like, on the other side of things, the pharmaceutical is publicly listed companies are multi-billion, if not, I mean, I think it's trillion-dollar industry, right? We just can't compete. But we believe in nature knows best, and we believe that people need to take responsibility for health themselves, and that nature is amazing. It's kind of really funny. We live in a world where, so many people want natural and nature-based, but yet there seems to be so much downplaying of that. I mean, even with doctors nowadays as well too, they advocate diet for the macronutrients, not for the micronutrients or for the bioflavonoids or the other compounds. And I think we need to get back more to that. So in terms of developing products as well too, that's probably my biggest frustration is how to create a great product and then how to communicate that legally in a way that doesn't get us in trouble.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. All right, just another quick one before we bring Matt in. Do you have any plans on expanding into the European market more, or is the EU legislation more difficult? Now, we actually had, on our first episode, I did have a few questions there on the European market, so this will fit in nicely with that. So that's from Matilda on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, thoughts on Europe?
Love the EU. No, really, it's a great It's a great demographic and really different as well too. I mean, the French are very different from like the Germans, and everybody's the same. But in terms of legislation, in terms of what you can and what you can't say, I mean, I know that they were very heavily influenced by a thing called the Codex, which was sort of the way that they viewed and reviewed supplements. We do have a distributor in the UK, and we have been looking at working with distributors in the EU, but because of 2020, we kind of shut a lot of that down, even in the US as well too. And for all our US listeners, we're really sorry because we had some major issues getting stock to the US. So we have to obviously make sure that we maintain and focus on our home base, which has to be Australia. And probably the US would probably be our next, because we actually have a presence. We have a 3PL. We've actually got a rep in the United States. So Europe is definitely a serious target.
Yeah.
I think that probably the second half of 2021, we should be able to improve our distribution into the UK, but we have to see the world come back a little bit to normal. Transportation.
Transport costs have been...
wow. I mean, like a container that would normally cost you, a couple of grand is now $7,000 for a container. And that's because just, supply and demand and the movement of ships and all that sort of stuff. So, transport costs, the time stuff's spending in customs, even getting stuff out of customs, is just horrible.
Yeah.
So, yes, cool. EU, but probably unfortunately for the first 6 months of 2021, it probably won't change much from where it's at.
Cool. All right. Let's bring in our guest.
Oh.
All right. Well, welcome, Matt.
Well, thank you for having me.
No worries. We wanted to get you on the show. Obviously, you're in all of our other episodes, so it's probably a bit weird being on the other end of the interview panel. But yeah, we thought we'd get you
cool.
on, find out more about you and what you do here at ATP.
Yeah.
Might be a learning experience for me too.
Yeah.
Or just would you like to recline and maybe we could get you on a couch or something?
Yeah, I think we might
Yes,
need
do
something
some
like that.
reflecting. So I asked the tribe, and I also got Beck to ask social media for some questions.
Yeah.
I threw some in there too, so we have a bunch to get through.
Oh, cool.
I thought myself, just starting off, we always get questions around what everybody has studied at ATP, like,
Oh, wow.
you know, what everyone's background is. So I thought, what better place to start than, you know, what did you study? What's
Yeah.
your background? Like, I know that's a huge question, but maybe if we start with study degrees first, and
Yep.
let's talk that stuff first, and then we can go into experiences and what shaped you, obviously, into
Yeah.
who you are today.
I'm possibly one of the least qualified people here.
Oh, no, I'm the most least qualified.
Yeah, I think you might be. Yeah. So, well, because I finished my state school. I went to my state school and I did all right in the top of my state school or something like that, but it wasn't good enough to get into any of the university degrees that I wanted to get into, which is kind of great because otherwise I probably would end up being a doctor or something, which would have been great. I would have helped a lot of people, but I would have been probably exhausted and tired and locked down in emergencies all the time. So I ended up doing naturopath. I did work experience first for like podiatry, but that was stinky feet. And then dentistry was like bad breath.
Oh.
And then that sort of stuff. And then optometry, and I realised I was like colourblind and that sort of stuff when I was doing that. So then I went, and then I always wanted
Fun
to be
fact,
I
he's
always wanted to
colourblind.
be Bush Tucker Man. I always wanted to be Bush Tucker Man. Remember that show on TV?
Yeah.
I always wanted to be the
Go
Bush
with the
Tucker
like
Man.
slouch hat, eh?
Yeah. And my granddad was like an old bushy guy, and I had this bad eczema and that, and he taught me how to make calendula creams, and we like grew the calendula flowers and made it into creams. And so I thought, I'd love to be like a naturopath and make stuff up and everything. So that's why I went and did naturopath. But I did a Bachelor of Health Science in naturopathy, which is not like a full-on science degree. It's kind of like we'll teach you enough science to kind of get you through. So on top of that, I did a lot of my own study on trying to understand pharmacology and all that sort of stuff, because I realised that one of the challenges between natural medicine and orthodox medicine was a different language. So I had to learn the language so that way I could communicate properly. And that's helped me heaps, because with all this stuff that we do, where we educate and talk, it's all about just trying to interpret data and interpret different medical information or scientific information and be able to interpret into a form that's useful for people, or something that we can make into a product or use to help people's lives be better, that sort of stuff. So not very qualified. Bachelor of Health Science.
I think it's the experience that will come after that, though. That's probably one of the most important parts of it, right? What did you then go from? So you finished your uni degrees and everything. Did you go straight into practice? Did you?
Yeah, so initially actually it was an advanced diploma that you couldn't actually get a Bachelor in Health Science for naturopathy. It was just an advanced diploma in 3 years. So I did that first 3 years, and then I went out and started working in a naturopath clinic. I think it was like 96 or something I finished, and then in 99 is when they decided they would make it a Bachelor. So I went back and got the Bachelor then.
Okay.
It's actually, I recommend anyone, if you're capable of doing that, that would be the better way to do it, because in those first 3 years you gather enough information. It's just like piling data all into this filing cabinet. It's all in there, but none of it makes sense. None of it's easy to find. None of it's yours.
Yeah.
It's always someone else's, and stuff yet to break or try to improve and fix. So having those couple of years in a clinic before I went back and did that final year, it made everything so much better. That final year, I was so much smarter. I had really relevant questions. I had genuine stuff I was trying to discover, and it made it so much better. And then when I came out of there, went into naturopath clinic, and then got into like formulating, because that was what I found a lot more exciting and fun, because ultimately I used to read all this science and then I'd get genuinely excited. Just like when you read some marketing brochure that will say all these amazing things are going to happen. You get genuinely excited. But then when it didn't happen the way it happened in the paper, I was bitterly disappointed. I felt jaded and dirty. And I also felt conned, because the science looked solid. I couldn't understand why it would happen on a brochure in a paper or in a scientific study, but not in my clinic. So that's when I started going and actually ringing up and emailing the people in the papers saying, hey, what where did you buy your herbal material from? And I'm talking to the scientist, just bugging them like an idiot kid from North Queensland. She, hey, where I want to buy. And then I'm ringing up some Chinese hospital because that's where they got it from. And then they're trying to find someone in the hospital that will speak English to talk to me, to be able to say yes. Oh, yeah. It was like I just, you just go, you just curiosity, Yeah, they say that curiosity killed the cat, but what they say, the solution saved him. You remember that saying?
No, I've
so
heard the first
they
part,
dropped the
not
second part.
part.
Yeah, they dropped the back. They don't like the back end.
Yeah.
They're like, curiosity, don't think.
Question nothing.
Yeah, question nothing. Curiosity will kill the cat, but if you actually find the solution, it will save you.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know where I got that from, but carry on.
So did you have was it your own clinic that you said?
Yeah, it was funny. I worked out really early, and I've told this a couple of times that I was unemployable. I have a combination of ideas and ideals that makes it hard to be an employee and stuff, and I've just always really struggled to work in a structured organisation. I just seem to just doesn't sit right with me. So I always ran my own thing. So it's funny, my dad was a surveyor for 30 years and hated it, absolutely hated it. And so I had become a naturopath, and I went back and I decided to set up, he used to have the surveying office underneath their house. So I started converting that into a naturopath clinic under mum and dad's house. And then dad got so excited that he decided to quit surveying and came and work with me doing massage. So yeah, he went off, and so he was doing all this deep tissue massage. So we just ran this little clinic from home. And what I was doing then is I was collecting a lot of data and making specific formulations, and set up my clinic like a compounding clinic. So rather than just using everyone else's products, I did use quite a few other people's products, but I also made a lot of my own stuff. And then what I did is I was collecting a lot of that data, and I was just so excited about the industry that I was sharing all that data. I was selling it, not selling it, just giving it to companies. Saying, hey, here's a recipe for an adrenal product that I've been using, it works really well, or something like that. And these companies were like, sweet. So then next thing you know, these guys started offering me contracts to formulate for them. And that's how I kind of got into it originally. Started making products for other companies and that sort of stuff as a contractor. And then again, once I got into that employee stuff, that's when I usually get to that point where I was told I was unemployable.
Yeah, right.
In fact, that was one of the big things before I met Jeff. I was told that I was unemployable and that I should go off and set up my own company and start that from scratch if I've got all these amazing ideas. And if it's any good, they'll come back and try to buy us out. How many years later did they come back and try to buy us out and they couldn't afford us? Was it like 2?
I can't remember that. So much just happened in the last day. You know that we've known each other for a decade.
It feels like so much longer.
Oh my gosh.
That's crazy. When did you guys meet?
2010.
Yeah.
Yeah, and around about, I think it would have been around about July or August, I think, around then. So, yeah, because I remember it was cold. I remember meeting you for the first time up at that coffee shop.
Yeah.
And
the devil in blue pants.
yeah, that's it.
And we were making a range of cosmetics, but that's how we remember that particular wanker.
Yes,
as the devil in blue pants.
Yeah, and that wanker proved out to be like probably 90% of people that we've met, which have absolutely no moral compass. Bought in out of date stock into the business, so we created a business and bought out of date. So Elsa, you rang me and you were going to quit because
I do remember.
So
that.
Elsa, how long have we known each other for now? Because
That was 2000. I think
you started in my other business with Tony, because Tony and I had another business before
I know
we
I
met
was
Matt.
19 and now I'm 31.
Holy hell.
Wow. So,
Long time ago.
yeah. So about 2008, is that right?
Yeah, I think it was.
And this is about 2000 and, yeah, it would have been 2010
Yeah.
that this happened. So anyway,
Wow.
just bad memories, so much bad stuff. But you know what? People want to hear the bad stuff, right?
Yeah,
But-
for sure. I just
but-
remember like he would just keep people waiting all day long.
Oh my
Obviously,
gosh,
I'm
kill
like
me.
my big thing is customer service,
Yeah.
making people happy. Like,
Yeah.
and it was just I just couldn't handle it. I'm like, you have no idea. And
Oh,
just-
man, a lot of people, especially as the organisation gets bigger, sometimes people don't fit within the culture. They sneak
Yeah.
through, right? These infiltrators, and they need to insert an F word here, but they need to fuck off. Because you know what? At the end of the day, they're self-serving and they don't fit with the vision of the company. The whole reason
what
that
about
we
in the
created
early
this company
days?
was
Yeah.
just to help people and create stuff that we were passionate about.
Yeah.
And if we were good enough, and we actually created something of value,
We might get
then-
some free products for ourselves.
well, no,
That's where we were at
no,
the
no,
start.
take
because the world always will seek value.
Yeah,
So as
yeah.
I said, whether you've got a Ferrari or whether you've got a Toyota, it doesn't matter so long as what you're exchanging for that is of greater value than what you're giving.
Yeah.
Then you've got a business, right?
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh,
And when-
Elsa,
and
and
when
you know
you-
what we've been through lately with some of the
Oh, yeah,
cock-ups that we've had
definitely.
as well too. It's not always plain sailing.
Hell no.
Definitely not.
But
having
when you're
said
growing fast, like we were in those years where we were like doubling and tripling year on year, in those time, like you're growing so fast that the team that you have around, you really need synergy. It has to be that 1 + 1 = 3 because you're actually achieving more than those two people could ever achieve. And I remember in the early days, you know, people like Elsa and Grant and that sort of stuff, that you'd come up and they say, what do you want me to do or something? And you're just like, well, they rarely would even ask those things because it was like, the thought process was, well, you do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, my job is specifically this. Because I remember people doing sales while they're trying to count capsules into bottles. And I remember there was like everyone, we were all hands on deck. Everyone was involved in every process.
Yeah, it was
And that
crazy.
no one had a specific job. When you get into the stage where we're continuing to grow at that, we're still continuing to grow, but in so many other aspects and that sort of stuff, if people aren't thinking outside their direct lane, if people are working with the blinkers on, they're actually allowing things to go wrong or something like that. And that's where you give really good analogies all the time, Jeff. You always talk about those bloody the bacon and the eggs, and that employee mentality, how the chicken just drops the egg and it can go on and do that somewhere else.
involved.
But if you're part of the bacon, then you're gone.
You're committed.
Like, you're in there.
You'd sacrifice.
Yeah,
You
you're
know,
not moving
so-
on to another breakfast.
That's right. So I like pigs. I like pigs, and I don't like yellow-bellied chickens.
Yeah.
So I think the thing is that Jim Collins has got a book called Good to Great, and in that book he talks about getting the right people onto the bus and then working out where they sit. The amount of people that we've had to come into the organisation, it's funny because I was only talking to somebody else recently about this, and they said, when you bring somebody in and you put them into a position, if they don't work out, then they're gone. It's like, yes, that's true, especially as the organisation gets larger, because you need specialists within a certain field, and they're hired to obviously do a job. But when you're younger, if you've got somebody who's got a really good attitude, and you can tell that they're a good person, sometimes you can move them. And we've done that a couple of times with some of our people.
Heaps,
and they've turned out to be
Good
excellent.
people, yeah.
Really good people, and they've turned out to be excellent. But, yeah.
They end up creating their own role and their own job. You know, sometimes you go through and they get this particular skill set and in certain phases of the company, you need different roles and you need different skill sets, but then it just kind of evolves into this thing, you know. And that's what I love about ATP is it's been this weird ass entity that's just kind of evolved in its own way. It's like it's been bigger than the sum of its parts, you know.
Well, I think when you're younger, you have the ability to be more flexible, and you've got people wearing multiple hats, and that works when you're small. When you start, your sales, your admin, your everything, right? Your logistics. But then, as the company grows, you want to hire excellent people, and this is one of the things that we're going through now as well too. Is that the old saying is that you hire slowly but you fire quickly, and actually that's Donald Trump in the Art of the Deal. I think he says that. Oh, we can't mention that name; we'll be banned off Facebook. No, I'm mentioning his name. But I think in terms of as you get larger though, and while you still want leeway with people who are really good in terms of they're good people and they're trying hard. You do, unfortunately, the dynamics within the organisation changes where you want absolute specialists who are really good at what they do.
Oh, yeah. You want to hire people better than you.
Well, and that's the problem.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with you, but, like better than yourself.
There's not many people.
Job.
That's the problem. There's not many people better than me at everything.
I suppose.
Yeah. Anyway. So what was the question?
I feel like we've answered it. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe we have, maybe we haven't.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I feel like the next one, it's a bit similar to the first one, but it's what experiences and jobs that do you think that you have had that have helped shape you into the brainiac you are today?
Oh, my God. That's a tricky one. Because I am born genius. No, that's not true. I really don't know. I think it's just more the curiosity. I think it's the fact that I never was capable of just following protocols and just running through a process without wondering if there was a better way and looking for something different. I think the time I spent in all the different types of clinics that I worked in. I think everything's added up to a certain amount of experience, even just working. And most naturopaths, when they, before they get a bit of a following, we start in the vitamins aisles in different shops, and you get to talk to people on the floor, and you learn a lot from there. But there was a phase there where I was treating racehorses. I was doing equine iridology.
This morning, actually.
I was doing all these weird things. I used to do animals. I used to do horses. I used to do anything. It was just a straight out curiosity. And then outside of that, I also had a lot of interactions with a lot of friends that were like farmers, and I got into talking more about fertilizers and manipulating, growing stuff to actually change the nutrient yield. I think it's just straight out, just curiosity, I think, is possibly, and then everything comes from that, because it's just that fascination of just why and how, and are there any other ways? And that weird concept that there's people that think science might be settled, or they think there might be some sort of level of expert, or that understanding that no one knows. You're never going to know everything. You can't even begin to even scratch the surface. Even when you get to within your field of expertise, the more you learn about it, the more you realise you don't know. It's just this never-ending cycle. So it's that's the fun stuff.
It's actually a really good question. I'll answer that one as well too, because
sure.
It's just a passion for knowing what it is that you want to do. So my father was 52 when he had me, so he's obviously quite old. I remember even when I was 17, he was saying, "Just Jeff, life goes so quick, so make sure that you enjoy what you're doing." And the career advice, after I went to a relatively low-end public school here in Brisbane, and there wasn't even somebody who got all above 90%, like brainiac, one of those people with the big skull. You look at them and you go, "Oh, you're smart, and you're going to be bald by the time you're 19." True, but he didn't even get the top. He didn't even get an OP of. I think he got an OP of 2 or a 985 in the TE score. That shows how old I am, right? So he didn't even get the very, very top level, even though he was dux of the school. So as a result, I missed out because I actually wanted to go into teaching. I actually wanted to do health and physical education teaching. I was good at sport. I enjoyed sort of that physical thing. And Dad just said to me, he goes, "You know what? Just make sure that you do what you're really passionate about." And the two things that I was passionate about was sport and video games. So I actually created businesses in both. And I could have made either one of them my passion, but it's actually some advice from the Silver Fox that said you have to make a choice between whether you're going to do video game and that side of it, or whether you're going to do nutrition. And it was actually Matt that made the difference, because when I met Matt was like the ultimate programmer. He was like the ultimate, but not for pixels or for code, but for health. And so it was like, well, we've already got somebody that I want to do business with who is a genius, somebody very unique. So, and that's what made the decision, because you remember back in 2010, and I'd spent a lot of money and we spent a lot of time getting on that, and unfortunately got ripped off there as well too. But what was really interesting is that he was introduced through a trusted colleague, somebody that we actually had formed as part of the development group. And this is how a lot of times people get done.
Gingerbread man.
Yeah, you've got to be really careful of who and Matt, we've had a lot of them too. No matter how hard you try, you are always going to get conmen. And for men specifically as well too, you cannot base your judgment based on what people say they are going to do, or your hope and your expectations of what they can deliver. You really need to step back and take a very real world view in terms of what they are actually delivering. And when they're not delivering, you have to take the hard yards and you have to sack them immediately. And you have to hold them to account. You've got to make sure that you've got good contracts from HR, from legal. You make sure that you have a good bookkeeper that can tell you what's happening with your money, how it's transitioning and how it's flowing. I mean, I know that these things, sound really simple, but I'm telling you, cash flow kills a business. Bad people that you have high expectations for who underperform, seriously, they are the albatross inside a business as well too. They'll kill you real quick. So to cut a long story short, the two jobs that I did after I left school, I was completely aimless and became a massive binge drinker. I used to live on 2-minute noodles. So I left school, completely lost my way, lived on 2-minute noodles, went out to ladies' night, where you'd get dollar drinks and all the rest of it.
Because you're a lady.
I like the ladies. The ladies love it. No, they didn't
I'm
actually.
pretty sure the ladies' nights for the ladies to get the cheap drink.
Yeah, but then the guys would go.
Of course, they'd want to pick up the chicks.
Yeah. Anyway, so just terrible. But I think in terms of, I then worked as a builder's labourer, and I remember I was so poor because my parents moved back to New Zealand. I was supporting myself. I was so poor that I was actually on a work site. I blew the engine in my car, so I had to get it shaved. It was like an $800 car. You could actually start it in second gear. It was just pathetic, with holes in the floor. And I had holes in my shoes, and I didn't have gumboots, and it was starting to rain. So I was walking around in a pair of Dunlop volleys. Do you remember those things?
Yeah, they were
with holes in the shoes, and I would put plastic bags over my socks and then put my shoes in. I was poor. I was so poor. I was really poor. And then
That was the reality.
I hated it. So then I also did another job as well too, where I was working stacking Coca-Cola bottles or plastic bottles. I'd take them off a production line. I had earplugs in, so I couldn't even listen to music. And I think I've told the story before. And literally, I was doing this job and I thought, got to be coming close to break time, been here for a couple of hours. And I looked up at the clock and literally 30 minutes had passed, and I'm just like, this is just... So I knew very, very much what I didn't want to do. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to do stuff that I really found interesting, and I wanted to help people. And that's where it was either video games, which I'm super passionate about. I know it's funny. Or it was going to be health. And health is the one that won over. It could have become a PT or something like that, and that would have been a great way to go as well too. But I started up the supplement den back in about 2002 with $3,000 that we borrowed, and just worked freaking hard at really helping people as much as possible, providing the best advice that we could, giving people information, all about customer service, and not trying to usurp people by trying to sell them this product when actually this product was the best. A lot of people come in looking for the silver bullet, and I used to give them the diet sheet and said, look, you need to start on your diet, because if you don't have that as a foundation, just forget about taking a silver bullet, because they don't exist, right? And that built trust, and then that built loyalty, and then the business started to grow from there. And then I guess the rest of it was just focusing on trying to achieve that. So anytime when we've failed or we've gone backwards is because we haven't maintained the focus on our customer service and on doing what's right for the customer. As soon as that's dropped, and that doesn't mean that the hierarchy of the company isn't focused on providing customer service and doing the best for the customer, it's just that you bring these assholes in that have their own agendas or can't be bothered, just like any employee, what have you. They sound fantastic, but if you're not watching and monitoring and measuring what they're doing, they're just watching the clock and can't wait to go home. And that's the sort of thing that can kill any business. So,
For sure. The next question is a good one actually for both of you, but I'll start with Matt. Tips for someone who wants to get into the industry but doesn't know where to begin. And this is from Casey and the Tribe.
Yeah.
It's quite a big general question,
but
I mean,
it begins with
specifically
networking. I think it begins with networking. It begins with attending educational sort of stuff. And just turning up. Like when there's these expos, when these events, you turn up, you have your curiosity, drop the ego, understand that it's all about trying to help people. Nobody knows everything. The one person that thinks he knows everything is actually the stupidest person in the room. When you're in the presence of an expert, let them talk. Learn from them. Actually sit there and be the student. When it doesn't matter where you think you sit in a hierarchy, you can always learn something from someone. And the health industry in particular is such a massive pool of information that no one can know everything about every part. So doesn't matter who you're talking to, just network, talk, keep in touch, share information. Information exchange, I believe, is the way to open up doors. And do it all with soul and drop the ego. Sometimes you got to, that's another one Jeff's saying, you help people to get what they want so you get what you want, So some people have just got to make that first move. But in my experience and most of my good contacts that I've got within the industry now, most of my opportunity that I have available to me now is just through weird random encounters. Really, and I'm talking really weird random encounters, by just attending trade shows in Vegas, for example. You know, I might be sitting at a bar in Vegas, have a beer, and I end up randomly talking to some stranger dude who turns out to be Richard Kreider from the head of the ISSN, you know, and then we become mates for a long time. And there's so many weird little... That was in okay, I remember because it was a Mexican place in Vegas.
Which had
so Rick is a Texan, and I'm Australian. So I go. This is how it goes. I go into a Mexican bar in Vegas, and I order a whiskey sours, and it was terrible. This Texan goes from the other end of the bar, goes, well, here's an Australian that walks into a Mexican bar and orders a Texan drink. You know, he says it sounds like the start of a joke. You know, and that's when we started chatting. I said, well, you've just dobbed yourself in. I'm going to loiter with you now.
Because we went to a seminar series, right? This is where we were listening to
Supply
Anthony
Side West and all
those
that.
guys as well too. And that was Sam that came, not you. Yeah, but that was pretty funny.
Yeah, lots of things like that. And in amongst all the other seminars and most of those people, like Elisma. Elisma is one of our contacts here now. I met her. She was presenting at a seminar. She was the presenter, and then we just got talking with questions and stuff like that. So, but outside of that, all of our other business contacts, it's amazing where you meet these people. And the key is to turn up, be open, drop the ego, be a good human, you know. And I think just in life in general, the same rules. And this is the same people that talk about ethics versus business ethics. I don't think there's any difference between any relationship that you have in life. Yeah. In fact, my children now with school and that, they're all stressed out about school because they're children and stuff. And I'm trying to explain to them that one of the biggest lessons you're going to learn from school is actually how to interact with other humans. When you see the nerds and the jocks and the cool guys and all these different groups, I said those exact same people are the people you're going to be interacting with outside of school. So just as you need to understand maths and English and all that sort of base knowledge you're going to get, the bigger lesson is actually how to interact with people, how to become, get the best out of people and all that sort of stuff. And I keep trying to talk to them all the time about that aspect of school is probably more important, and that's the stuff you're going to carry on into the future, you know, which we can't do from homeschooling.
I think like 90% of success is turning up. I think, I can't remember who coined that phrase, but it's so true. I mean, putting yourself out there and actually, you know, meeting people, networking, you know, and again, dropping the ego so you can actually learn something. And this is the problem, I think.
How many weird things did we do? Like there'll be these after parties or something that we didn't get an invite to, but we knew that there'd be a lot of people that are important in the industry. So we would just happen to go to the bar next to that, you know, and we would just be there just on the off chance that we might rub shoulders with someone that might be important. We used to just attend these things just because it's like this thing's on, we've got to be there. And it feels at the time, it feels like a waste of time, or it feels like maybe, that was almost embarrassing and that. But over time, you start to see these same people. It's like, and then every once in a while you're saying good day, and the next thing you know, you're mates, and you don't even know how it actually happened. I think that's so important.
And just not being lethargic or lazy, like just turning up and then going, okay, we've got time, so then what are we going to do? How many times, Matt, will we go out and we'd be in a hotel or something like that and be like, well, let's just not sit here, let's go out and do something. Let's go and see if we can meet people, let's go and see if we can network, let's just get alongside. Even no matter how small it was, even if we were talking to one or two people, which is what it started at the beginning, because you never know what happens next. But nature can't stand a void. So you've got to create space and you've got to create an environment. And I know that sounds really metaphysical and a bit, wanky, but it's true. It really is. In terms of intention, in terms of thought process, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. That's Henry Ford that said that. So if a lot of it is by intent, but the big thing for me, I think, more than anything, is you've just do what you love, and firstly though, you've got to know yourself. And I think this is why I get frustrated with regards to a lack of innovation in the industry, because people see something and they go, "That is successful. I want to be that." A really good example of that is that you've got Briggs. What's the Briggs? The personality thing. Briggs-Meyer. You've got, and there's heaps of them, right? DISC personality profile and stuff like that. They're excellent, and you should do at least one or two of those to actually understand and do them without projecting in terms of, I'll explain it a bit more in a minute, but if you do that, then it will show you where your strengths are. And Matt, we said this all the time, there is no point in focusing on your weaknesses. If you're a one-man band, then you have to cover them. But you can always employ people to do that later. You could potentially contract somebody or outsource that area that you're really terrible at. But for example, Tony is a Lord personality. I spoke about this a few times. So what that means is, it sounds very, oh my gosh, she's very posh. But what it means is that she likes to control, but without being seen, like a landlord.
Like Darth Vader.
Like Darth Vader. Exactly like Darth Vader. I'm more like Princess Leia, right?
Yeah.
So, like smart, intelligent, sassy, got my laser beams. No, I don't really. But no, what it comes down to is... that a Lord personality is not going to do well out in the limelight. That's why you don't see her. She hates this sort of stuff. And I wouldn't say that I love it, but I don't hate it. I am very objective about it. So I do it because I don't really care so much about me. It's more about the company and about providing service to people. So I do it, and then I derive enjoyment from it. Whereas you've got other people that are star personality profiles that love being out in front. So once you understand your personality profile and what's important to you, then you can understand what it is that you can do. And you'll typically find that you'll draw naturally to do things. So, as I said, for me, it's about serving people, helping people. So I want to make sure that what I'm doing is quality, that it's actually providing a solution to a problem. I love health and wellness. As I said, I love video games. So I want to do something in that space. I don't want to do something in... I don't know. I can't even think. In fishing, I don't want to become if I loved fish, I might become a fisherman. I don't know.
I love to fish, but I'd never pay bills as a fisherman.
Right. So, but
feed the family even.
And there are, you know what I mean. But if you're passionate about what you do, it pulls you through, especially when things are really tough. If you're really passionate about, if you're not passionate about something, and you're just doing it for the money. When crap goes horrible, and how many years of horrible crap have we had, even before we sort of got the business up and going, you just quit because you just go, you know what, I'm not having fun. It's not worth it. I'm out.
But that's the same with that turning up. There's no point in turning up without passion too. And that's where you've got to have that passion, because you're going to turn up to these things, and it's just, you can't force these things. And there's that, when you said metaphysical stuff before, in actual physics, you got to understand that darkness can only exist in the absence of light. So that's why you got to turn up, and that's why you got to turn up with your passion. Because if you're not there and you're not putting that light into that void, then someone else could, or it could just be it, or it just won't happen at all. And then when you do arrive with that light and fill up that void, and you remove that darkness, and you provide some inspiration and some excitement, that changes people's lives, and that's also leads into those connections and those opportunities. And then people, it's infectious, your passion and that sort of stuff is contagious and infectious. And sometimes when people don't actually understand the details, if they can understand that you do and you're passionate about it, then sometimes that's enough for them to back you,
All right. Well, you've already answered this question, but I just wanted to read it because it's really nice. It's from Elza in the tribe. Could you please ask him if I can just have a tiny little share of his brain? But seriously, just tell him he's a bloody awesome, intelligent, genuine dude.
Oh, that's me.
It's lovely, isn't
That's
it?
so bloody
so
lovely.
sweet.
All right. You wrote that, Elsa, did you say?
No, Elza.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was
tribe.
actually for you. I thought you were suddenly
Close.
putting in a little compliment
We're
there.
quite close.
Yes.
All right. So next question. Hi, Matt. I would love your insights into being an effective and incredible practitioner. I'm finishing up my student clinic prac currently and seeking all of the mentorship, from Cheryl Bryson.
Cool.
So, I mean...
Kind of covered off on some of that.
Yeah.
I'd try to do everything.
Yeah.
And just try to, you want to play. You want to go through and have a little bit of sample of absolutely everything. And the funny thing is, spend some time in dispensaries. And I loved loitering in dispensaries and just filling people's prescriptions and that. And I love making the medicines. Get the creams, you buy the base creams, get the herbs, start making some topical products, start blending up your herbal teas, start making foods and recipes, start finding the peculiar herbs that you've learnt about and seeing how you can implement them into other products and foods and stuff. Make sure you get that grassroots stuff. A lot of the naturopath training now, they're teaching us a lot more about how to prescribe. It's a lot of it's like diagnose them with either a medical condition or your natural alternative version of describing it, and then either prescribe. It's all about prescribing, and a lot of the training now is taken over by a lot of those companies that are making the finished products, and they're teaching people how to diagnose for the purpose of prescribing. So my recommendation for most people is, when they first come out of that, go get your hands in the dirt. Remember what you're dealing with. We are dealing with herbs. and get an understanding. And you can see we do and grow stuff, and you'll see with a heap of water, these big things, they get really big and plump, but they're actually quite weak.
Yeah.
With bad struggling conditions, they're very ugly looking, but they're extremely strong. Like and the knowledge you learn in that understanding about extractions and equivalents to whole herbs and everything you understand about dosing and everything, you start to see how much you can put on a plate compared to how much can go into a capsule. And there's so much you can learn from just getting your hands dirty and getting in amongst it. And then, because one of my big things is practice makes permanent. When people go and learn a protocol and then they pass that protocols on to other people and they just watch this thing and go through the same process, they're self-confirming their own prophecies. They never know what's really, truly capable of doing, So I recommend everyone goes out, especially in those early days, if you can get away with it, Now, some people have really got to get straight in and make some money to pay the bills. Some people have really got to get in and support the family, and a lot of those people get caught up in that stuff. If you have that opportunity to just spend some time exploring and playing and opening up your mind to all the possibilities within the industry, then you'll see it's really cool, and you'll find a niche. And with the world the way it is now, you can have a niche that's an inch wide, but it'll be a mile deep. There'll be people, you can specialise in this stuff these days with the internet and everything like that. You can be really good at one particular thing that you're really passionate about, and you don't have to be everything to everyone. But I recommend everyone just has a try of everything to see what their particular calling is.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. This one's from Instagram. How did he get so handsome? Oh, that's
actually, that was from me. I think I may have sent that question in. Well, let me answer.
Nice. Well, I think it's a nice and easy one. But what is your favourite part about work each day?
It's probably when you see me. That's your favourite day. You go, oh, look at this, Jeff.
No, it's not that. I think it's more to do with when I get those little days where we don't have meetings and I just get excited about stuff. Once you get those mind maps going and I start doing the reading and I get caught up in my own little
The eureka
world.
moments for me.
Yeah.
Like when Matt and I are normally... My favourite parts are when I'm working with Matt on formulations. And I don't work on formulations. Matt comes and goes, hey, I've found this. And I'm like, and my mind starts going, oh my gosh, we could do this, or here's an application for it, or this had to be presented. My personal favourite part that I love and I'm really passionate about is when I write some of the blurbs, the quirky stuff, the naming of products, because that's what I'm good at. And I love that. That's my creative space. Matt's is when he creates a formula and then we collaborate and go, oh, what about this? And I'm not doing any of the formulation. I'm just sort of the sounding board for Matt going, oh, could we do with this? And he goes, actually, and then he'll go away. He'll come back and go, guess what? Like we've just had one.
I like those ones when my favourite moments in the middle of the night usually. I'll send you that text saying eureka. And that sort of stuff.
And I'm like, hey,
it's
me
just
too, mate. I just had a eureka
He
moment
made
too.
it weird.
No.
That was a nice question. Whoever sent that question, I apologise for Jeff.
Yeah, no. But I think...
those discovery moments are the best.
The discovery moments are really cool. Yeah, definitely when you're talking about a formulation, like we had even one with the IP lawyer where we're sort of talking about something you've been working on for ages now. And we'll come back and gone, preliminarily... He's come back and gone, good news is that I can find nothing with evidence on this. And so now...
Nothing at all.
We're talking with Bill Campbell about doing the trials around showing the efficacy of the product as well too. So, and it's really exciting because I listen to that and I'm like, this is a real game changer. And this is what I love about our company is that we've constantly got new products that are really awesome, that are really, really different.
But you might remember
we're creating
ago.
desserts and then we're creating... anabolic agents completely from nature. And then we're creating, ice cream. And then we're creating... nice catch. And then we're creating all those... just so eclectic, so different. But, yeah. And any company would kill just to have one of our products and build a business around that. And that's, I think, where we're, working with Tony on marketing, working with Tony on... the branding side of things as well too. I love that. So I'm nice. I kind of get to be the linchpin between sort of the different sort of departments. So that's what I love. And probably also, and again, I know there's a lot of stuff, but when we get customer feedback of people's lives that we've changed, that to me was probably one of the things that gave me the biggest hype and still does.
When researching for new products and ingredients, how do you see through all of the noise and find the gold, Matt?
Oh, that's a really good question.
That was Elsa's question.
It starts, I think a lot of it's starting with mind maps. I think I go through and I do these big mind maps because once you get that understanding of what you're trying to achieve, like you're looking for specific tools with specific functions. When you get caught up looking for, like if you research a disease, for example, you might find a plethora of opportunities of different ways of targeting that particular disease. If you just research things that might, be therapeutic for something, that have been studied. What you got to do is understand the problem, really in depth, understand the problem, design what you believe would be a solution, and then go look for the individual parts that make up that perfect trap.
Matt, that's what I was going to say though, because I mean, if you look at current known science, where a lot of, not all, but a lot of formulations, especially in the sports specialty market,
Well,
again, we're not really in that.
Five things that do the same job. That's what my pet hate is. They'll go through and go, there's these 5 things that are all good for these things. They all happen to work on the same target, and if you combine them all, none of them are in an effective dose to work.
But Matt, that's the difference between
we do one for that, one for. It's all about setting a biochemical trap and understanding that it is a massive holistic system where absolutely everything interacts with absolutely everything.
The average,
you cannot isolate and specialise.
The average punter will never ever know that, and for American friends, that's just the average person. And almost all of our formulators design their products through pamphlets that they see about particular ingredients, or they'll type in XYZ condition. And then they'll just go, right, what are the 5 best things that prove that? Oh, let's just jam that all into a capsule because I can make a claim on that. It's dumb, and it's probably 95% of our industry. What I love, Matt, is when you'll be researching something. So you'll be looking at a particular disease or what have you, and then you'll find this weird substrate and go, oh, that's... Because you actually understand the pathways and you can actually understand the reasons why it work, you'll then come back, and this is how you've made many discoveries. You've come back and go, you know what, if we combine this with this will actually have this effect. Yeah. And then you'll come to me and go, Jeff, I reckon this could be actually a really good product for this, like something completely unrelated. Yeah. Which then we go, now we've actually created something new and novel and exciting through a process of not just problem is A, search the internet to find out what the way to solve problem A is. Where is the innovative step? Man. Where is the... And most of the time, that's just bullcrap fed by companies trying to sell products.
I've done contracts for those companies where they've invited me in for meetings and they sat me down with the lawyer, an accountant, and the market research person that showed me the Google keyword printout going, people with arthritis like to use glucosamine, and... here's the top 5 things they like to use with glucosamine. Can you combine them and make a product for us out of that? And it's just like, these people with arthritis don't know how to fix arthritis. How about I fix the arthritis,
All right, we've got another Tribe question from Richard. What product would you love to create if you were not constrained by any regulations?
Oh, I would do a lot more transdermal.
Yeah,
I would definitely do that, because the problem we have in Australia is that you're either a food or a drug or a cosmetic. You can't rub food onto the skin. It's funny. So to have anything that you can't talk about anything going just beyond that surface of the skin, and it's a massive opportunity that no one's getting a chance to utilise. It's just really frustrating that we can't utilise these transdermal technologies without having to go down to the point of trying to prove it as some sort of a drug-like effect, when you can get other nutritive effects and you can alter structure and function by supporting it naturally without having a pharmaceutical-like effect. That's one of the most frustrating things for me, is that particular category.
And this goes into the next question from Jay Pauling Official on Instagram. What ingredients would you love to work with if given the opportunity?
Well, I can't. I have the opportunity, and I'm about to do it, and you can wait and see. 2000, since year 2000, I've had this particular theory, and I've argued with all the experts in it. When I say argued, I listened to them first, and then I used their information to ask questions, and their answers did not make sense to me, and it has never made sense to me. And it's something around gut health that I am extremely passionate about. It's something that I've 20 years invested into this. I've watched it. I've gone through heartbreakers. I've watched my ideas get patented and stuff. I just missed so many opportunities, but it's perfect. I
Can't do everything, Matt.
No, but it actually works out better because if I had done it when I wanted to, it would have been too soon.
Yeah,
we weren't ready.
Before you came in,
early bird gets the worm, the second mouse gets the cheese. This time
Matt,
we can come in, we're going to get the cheese. I know where the mistakes have been made, and I actually know how to take it to the next level. And finally, the scientific community is actually just looking in the area that I've been trying to say there is something there. And now it's so exciting for me. And I'm like, the frustration is trying to actually explain it to others in a brief period of time, or even in this opportunity to actually tell someone something that would make me look cool.
Well, put it this way.
And stroke my ego, but I really just dying to tell you
Matt,
that it's also so damn important I can't.
Yeah.
Well, this is how big it is. This is how big it is. Matt and I and Tony are meeting with this company, with the chairman. Like, that's how much focus we're putting into
Star Trek.
It is Star Trek.
No.
Star trekking across the universe.
Oh, our Derek. Oh, you're only going forwards because we can't find reverse.
Yeah, there you go. So, but what it comes down to is that I think I agree with you, Matt. I think there's something really special here, and I think something really revolutionary and mind blowing. And
I love it.
I'm excited because I've already given you some ideas. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm like, Matt, could we do this with it?
He doesn't.
And I'm like, can we do this?
Some of these ideas are, but that's what you want with ideas.
Yeah,
you want people to say,
stupid.
"I'm a human and I want this."
Can we?
And then
will
I'm
that
just
work?
like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's try. Yeah, because we have that motto. So you got to understand how important these things are. The results, not excuses. Like, in order to get results that people deserve for their investment in their money and their time and their effort, our job is to take away that variability, to give them that reliability, to give them that predictability, to give them something that's scalable, reproducible, something when they feel something in their body and they feel great and proud and they go and tell their friends that I've achieved this and I can help you do it too. And then it actually works for them and their friends and their family. Like, this is the most excited. This is why I'm so excited about it, is because there was always that lack of result in some people. There was always
non-responders.
some non-responders.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. But to be able to get that, we're talking about that 80-20 principle, to be able to just maximize your results for most people, without doing harm. And not being left with excuses going, oh, you've got some genetic polymorphism, sorry, or your gut flora was not processing those ingredients properly, or your gut flora was just straight out wrong. It was never going to work for you. You know what I mean? So that's I'm so excited about that bit. I think that's really cool.
I hope everyone listening's excited because I'm
If they don't, they're stupid. They don't know what I'm talking about. No, and once we get a chance to explain it properly, they will fully understand it.
All right, what's next? Has Matt ever formulated a product and it totally failed the desired results, yet went in a totally other direction as a eureka moment? So that's from Mark Renwick in the tribe.
Yes and no. It's no, that's a real tricky one. I can't think of anything at the moment.
Something's totally failed.
No, but it's more the fact that, like I keep thinking about things like I always go to sleep products and that. Like, sleep products are the one for me that really confuse me. Because in the past, I've made a product that was designed to make you smarter through the day. This is not for ATP, but for another company. So I was given a job to improve, to make like a nootropic, treat dementia and learning disorders and make people's brains better, okay? And I worked on this concept of Brahmi, which is an Ayurvedic term meaning celestial intelligence. It's all about improving brain. The weirdest thing, so make this product, and then I met this old Ayurvedic practitioner, and we're taking it, people taking a couple a day, and it's like, yeah, good, it's good for your brain, Like, you don't feel a huge amount of stuff with those things, but anyway.
Is he a supercalifragile mystic with halitosis?
No, his breath was fine.
Wow.
And he he was explaining to me in Ayurvedic medicine that they use that stuff at night before bed because when you think too much during the day, you build up all this waste. Just like if you've been to the gym and you overuse your muscles, you build up all this waste. And then if that waste is sitting there at night, then it irritates your brain, just like lactic acid might irritate your nerves in your leg. And just like you might get restless in your body, you'll get restless in your brain. So you just want to flush all that blood up there. You want to improve your circulation to your head and you'll have this beautiful deep sleep. So this product that I actually invented for people to take in the morning to actually increase their alertness and their attention and learning ability, I end up then, when I was doing seminars at night and I was all wired and I had this excessive mental chatter, I'd take a double and triple dose of that at night to put me into a deep sleep. And that's when I discovered that you've got this ability for some people to take a downer and it just wakes them right up, and then other people to take something that's supposed to make them really smart and it'll put them into a really nice deep sleep.
Yep.
And that there's just different stages of the day and different stages of adrenal dysfunctions. And you had the similar experience with adrenal RX.
Yeah, well, I do,
yeah.
but also fertilised chicken embryo extract when I used to sell that. Years and years ago, there was a product called Humanipro, I think.
Yeah. So that's a little, when you get
or
the eggs with a black dot in it. You know, you get an egg with a little black dot?
Yeah.
That's a little fertilised embryo, the little black dot. So they use those eggs to make those products.
And I don't even know the science behind it, Matt, but I used to give it to people, and I don't even know the and I'm not advocating the product, by the way, but I used to give this product, whatever it was in it, and almost 80-90% of people, great sleep. A couple of people I gave it to, especially one friend, take it and go, I just stared at the ceiling all night.
Yeah.
So this is the fascinating thing about what you're saying. There are non-responders and then there are adverse responders, you know, where it goes the other way. And it's not just in drugs, it's in anything.
No,
right?
it's absolutely.
Well, it's pharmacokinetics, right? So,
Yeah. Or dynamics.
Dynamics, is it? Okay.
Pharmacodynamics is how it works, and kinetics is how it moves.
Oh.
All right. Another question from Instagram from Harper and Harvey. This is for both of you too, I think. Would you say Australia is behind when it comes to natural products in comparison to the US?
Absolutely not. Definitely not. In fact, I believe we're ahead. It's quite funny that I say that, because remember when we first started 10 years ago, we used to go over to all the American Olympias and all those sort of stuff to try to have a look at these products, because we were under the impression that they were 5 to 10 years ahead of us.
Yeah.
The funny thing is at that time in 2010, I believe they were. Unfortunately, now in 2020-ish.
2021.
2021 now,
Yeah,
technically.
bloody hell. 2021, did you say? It did win, didn't it? Beat all of us.
2021.
So what I found is that it kind of, they were ahead for a bit and then just kind of stopped. It's like all this innovation just stopped for a bit. It just went really weird. There was just this phase, and we really did catch up. And I think it's an international marketplace now, and it's all the information's the same. I really don't think so. We're highly regulated in Australia as the challenge.
You took the words out of my mouth.
We're talking about innovation.
Innovation is very different from commercialisation.
A lot of Australian innovation is exported.
And
so we
we're
have
gonna
to take our innovation overseas to achieve these things.
We're doing that now as well too.
Exactly.
I mean, again, there's so many. We're focusing really hard on delivering stuff in Australia, which is unique and really cool and really, really different. So if you're here in Australia, don't be upset.
Oh, yeah.
Because we've got some great stuff, including some of the new stuff that you're looking at. Some of the stuff that we've got, we just will not commercialise it here because we can't.
No.
Even though it's awesome and safe and healthy and world changing,
Yeah.
but we'll take that to the States
Yeah.
and to other jurisdictions around the world.
Yeah. Jury addictions, I believe in as well.
Julia Dixon. Oh, is that like Ophelia Dixon?
What are you doing with your foot right now?
I don't know.
The next two questions kind of go hand in hand. So are there any trends?
We don't have to hold hands to answer them, do we?
coming up that you're excited for?
Yes.
You're excited for, and then trends that are coming out that you've seen that you're like, for.
I tell you what I am excited
Okay.
about is the trends in regards to, again, the microbiome that talk about bioavailability of natural compounds. And what I was not a fan of is the era that we've just come out of, where everyone was adding things like black peppers or things to actually bypass natural mechanisms of regulating nutrient absorption and defying the laws of nature to make natural medicine fit a pharmacological model which relates to bioavailability and target receptors through the body. We've learned so much more now through this era of our genomic research in the microbiome that we now understand so much more about how foods are good for people, how natural components work, and also what makes some products toxic. And that's the era I'm really excited about, because that's where we're going to have so much opportunity. And it's going back to the following the laws of nature, which is what I'm passionate about. So
Do not defy the laws of nature, laddie.
No,
it's like
especially
Star
black
Trek.
pepper.
Yeah, it's physics, Matt. But I think in terms of trends, I'm really excited for gut health as well too. I think that is the more that we're learning in terms of the microbiome and Matt, some of the stuff that you're coming up with really excites me. And again, it's a sort of, we've just started down the path, but I can see the end result if we've got the scientific data to back it up, and it's flipping
We do,
exciting.
eh? It's so
I mean,
funny.
we said in a while ago there was a podcast where I think we were talking about as soon as the ultimate, we've looked at hormones and we've been utilizing compounds to be able to manipulate, increase, support, diminish certain hormones to create the right profile. But if we can do that in the microbiome, where we can help get the ratio between firmicutes and bacteroidetes correct, which we've already kind of been looking at.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm talking to the degree where you can effectively augment your body by changing your gut flora and having that.
absolutely.
That to me is like, yeah, that's cool.
It's kind of cool, eh? Like, it is really, really cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited for as well.
Love it. Awesome. All right. So we've decided that we're going to finish each episode with 3 questions for our guests. I'm going to ask it to you, Jeff, too,
Okay.
because you haven't answered
Okay.
them obviously yet. First one, what's your favourite movie?
Oh, shit.
Didn't expect that, did you?
No, I did not expect that.
Jeff?
That's really tough.
Surely you know the answer to this.
I've got 3, and I have to go with 3.
Did you
right?
give him the tip about this? What is my favorite?
My favorite, Scott Pilgrim versus the World is probably number 3.
really?
I love that film. Love it.
I know which one of yours is going to say. It's going to be retarded. I know.
Sorrow Married an Axe Murderer would probably be number 2.
I can't stand
Mike
that
Myers.
movie.
And number 1 would be, come on, man, that's the start of Fat Bastard and all the rest of it. Look at the size of his head. It's like an orange on a toothpick. It's got some great one-liners in it, but my absolute favourite would be Army of Darkness, Evil Dead 3. That's probably my
gosh.
absolute favourite film. I mean, yeah, you could put up there like, you know, The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbits, which I really love. I mean, even the old Harry Potter stuff
what
was really
would
fun
mine
too. I
be?
really
Yeah,
enjoy
Harry
that
Potter's
stuff.
mine.
It's great. But
Yeah?
I'd say that, yeah, Army of Darkness 3, Evil Dead. If you haven't watched that film, the one-liners in that, seriously, I could use for the rest of my life. They are just
Oh, man.
awesome. I swear.
I'm
The
struggling
next one
right
of you
now.
Neanderthals that
I
touched
thought
me.
you were going to be like The Notebook.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Atonement.
Oh, that's the film you hate the most.
That's the movie
Pride
I
and
hate.
Prejudice.
That's 2 hours of your life you're not getting back if you
No,
watch
and
that.
that was a trick, and
Oh
I
my
still
God.
haven't forgiven the guy that made me watch it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who made you watch it?
Well, he was a movie buff dude, and he used to send me these movies, and every time he sent me one, it was like something really cool. And he sent me that, and I watched it, and I rang him.
What the
And he
heck?
says, "I'd never seen it. What is it?" I was just like,
Wow.
And I was so my favorite.
come on.
You know, I love Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it's because it's that era of your life when it comes out and all that sort of stuff, which is, when you're a kid. Oh man, I don't know.
That's all right. I feel
It
like
is
Star Wars
so
is a good
hard.
answer.
I
You don't
think
have
Star
to go-
Wars.
you don't have
I
to
love it.
give any more.
And then I'd like Indiana Jones.
Oh, yeah?
I used to
Yeah.
love those. But
Yeah.
I'm talking about when I was a kid. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I've seen that's. I watched V for Vendetta again the other day.
Oh,
and that
you know
was
what? I've
kind of
I've bought that to
cool.
watch it again. Well, that's very topical, actually. I think very topical.
Idiocracy
Oh,
is
yeah,
one of my
that's-
favorites.
that would definitely be in my
You
top
have
5.
to watch Idiocracy. I bet you Brooko has not watched it yet.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I think that one is done.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
fine.
yeah,
I'm
covered
still
it.
thinking.
I know you are.
Yeah.
All right, favourite quote.
Oh, you suck. Did we do results and excuses? Will do for me, and first do no harm. So can I do both of those? And it was said by Matt just earlier.
5 points for you.
Thank you.
Jeff, you'd have a few, wouldn't you?
Oh, my God.
He's trying to
pick.
narrow them down to like.
Probably,
You want to know one of mine while you're thinking?
yeah.
In grade 3, there's a guy, Mark Wilshut, in my class who just randomly said, and he was one of those quirky guys, the funny noise guy. Yeah, and he would just randomly said, just in the middle of the class when everyone's quiet, he says, "Man who pats a camel strokes a goat." I've never forgotten it. And it means nothing.
No.
He just did it. It just was this random thing. I have said that to so many
should
people
get
over
that
years.
framed.
No, I've had people go, "Oh, you dirty bastard," or something. Yeah, like people, you say that to someone, and then it's a very insightful. Tells a lot about their own psyche, the way they interpret that, and what it means to them. It's quite funny.
There's an Albert Einstein one that you always used to
Oh,
tell me.
imagination
Is more important than knowledge.
Yeah.
Great. That's a great one. That's probably got to be up there for me as well, too.
But man who pats a camel strokes a goat means
So
that
up
almost.
there.
Yeah, that's true.
Pretty much means
We'll start selling that one framed on the website, maybe.
With Mark Wilshire written
Yeah.
under it.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, there's just so many. How do
Okay.
you like them apples? I mean, I think my favourite one is probably.
Nod's as good as a wink to a blind bat.
No, well, let food be your medicine, medicine be your food, and I think the other one is from Voltaire as well too. Is that that's probably one of my favourite quotes. So Voltaire is, I may not agree with what you have to say, but I will fight to the death to defend your right to say it. To words to that effect, which is so important right now. Oh my gosh, world! That would probably be my favourite one. I think allow people to speak, regardless of whether you. That's what you said before, Matt. I'm going to say this, and I may offend you. Who gives a crap if I get offended with something that you say? That's on me, right?
Normally I don't care. It's
Snowflakes.
just because we're recording it. I just didn't want you to see the tears.
Well, this is the thing: is that what's the problem with being offended? I don't actually see the problem with it.
It's like cancel culture.
Yeah, the cancel culture. That's terrible.
What's that?
All right, last question. The best advice that you've been given, and if you can say by whom as well.
Shit, man.
Yeah.
They're good.
Man, I wish you'd give me these questions earlier. I would have thought of some important
Mine
stuff.
goes back to my dad, who said, "Do what you love." In life, it's short, and that's the other thing he said as well too. Life is short. Do what you love. Pretty much all in the same sentence, and it's true. Here I am, like mid-40s now. It's crazy how quickly that's gone. I mean, I'm devilishly good handsome. Actually, that's Matt's line. I'm not devilishly good handsome.
I never say that about you.
No, I know. Not in front of other people. He whispers it in my ear. No, he doesn't. But yeah, you live life to the fullest and that means doing what you love. I mean, I think of all those people that are in careers where they give a third of their day doing stuff that they hate, and I'm like, man, just change it. Change it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I have no idea. This is so hard, Elsa. So an inspirational quote that was said to me or that I read that did a thing that...
Well, you always say more skid marks than Bathurst.
Just the best
or the
advice.
Yeah, more
500.
skid marks in Bathurst was a funny line that someone said, and I remembered. Shit. Many pets a camel strokes a goat. Mark Wilshire.
Wow, okay.
And
It's been quite impactful. I mean, I feel really bad that I haven't given a great answer for that, because there would be so many people and so many quotes that have influenced me so many different ways that right now I can't think. I'll tell you something that was very impactful was that another thing when I first met Jeff, which was quite funny, is that we were both reading the same book. There's a book called Marketing Without Money, and it was all about just giving people value, dropping the bullshit, helping people and all that sort of stuff. That book, I think, was
Lions and
life-changing.
De Bono.
Yeah, Lions and De Bono. It was a great book.
And we met
thing
Lions.
is, yeah, we did. And the funny thing was when we first met, of course, because we're both reading the same book, we're saying a lot of these same things. And then we're like, oh, the synergy here is amazing. Like we got the same belief system. Can you believe? I can't believe I was thinking that you just said that. And then we realised that we're both reading the same book. We're both quoting from the same book. But in that book,
a great book,
it was all about
a really good book.
Results, not excuses. It was all about surpetition, not competition.
Yeah.
It was all about
Yeah.
just be the best version of yourself you can be, and have a crack and provide some value and all that sort of stuff. I think that was... I don't know. There's probably quotes in that book.
Oh, that's good. I feel like that's really good.
Yeah. And actually, I'll tell you one other. Now I just thought of one. It's from, it was a Dalai Lama quote. And it wasn't so much a quote. There was a book written called The Art of Happiness. And there was this bloke was trying to work with the Dalai Lama to get a step-by-step guide on how to become happy, basically. And the Dalai Lama spent the whole time just laughing at this guy, basically saying, you don't get it. Like, if you are capable, like in that moment, of smiling and being happy, then you are happy. And that to me was kind of cool, because then at any moment, if you're capable of just laughing, and if you're capable of forgetting time traveling and forgetting about the past and the future and going into them now, and you're capable of just cracking a smile and having a laugh, then in that moment you are happy.
I was
and
only
that's
just thinking
power.
about that recently.
Yeah.
Has anyone seen the movie About Time?
No?
Yes.
How it's the
Love it.
messaging in that movie is
What are we
just
talking about?
amazing.
The movie About Time
it's
with
About
Bill
time.
Nye.
Oh, I thought that, yeah, right.
And it's
I was
about
going to
they
say, what's
actually
it called?
time travel in that, and then in the end
And
he realizes
Rachel
that like
someone?
Rachel McAdams.
McAdams, that's it.
Yeah.
And the other dude from Star Wars, the orange haired
Oh, the other dude.
And it's all
Chewbacca.
about
Peter
enjoying
Rabbit had the orange hair,
every
didn't he?
moment you can. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Anyway.
we should practice our laughs.
Yes.
What's that? I forgot my laugh for a while. Do you remember we got that complaint? Someone complained about my laugh.
No, we'll try that.
Someone complained about my laugh, and then I forgot how to laugh. I actually started changing my laugh.
I remember this.
And then there was a moment where I actually forgot my laugh, and I was automatically doing this laugh. It wasn't mine. It was just...
But why don't you?
I never laugh like that.
Like, do it with your mouth.
No, my nose is running. It'll be like a butt sneeze, but I know my nose.
You fool.
No, because I used to go, ha ha, like this thing, ha ha. I can't remember it now. I have lost my laugh. And I used to do this thing, and then someone complained, oh, way Matt laughs when he laughs.
Wow.
And then I tried to change the way I laughed, and then I lost my laugh. I forgot my laugh, and now I don't know.
He's lost his laugh. He's just a little boy that's lost his laugh.
So now I do this.
Wow, it's kind of
Like
like
that.
a goat and a donkey sort of crossed together.
Greatest of all time laugh.
It's a gonky. Gonky laugh.
Cool. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
well, I'm glad that's how we finished.
On a high note.
thanks so much, Matt, for joining us today on this episode of The Raw CEO.
Thanks for having me and letting me wreck your very adult podcast.
No worries. See you next time.
Did a good
everyone.
job.
Bye-bye. Do I leave now for a big round of applause and some sort of a ceremony?
A golf clap. Don't red pen that.
Oh, you probably can't say that.
No, cut that. No. Oh, you stole my joke.
What was your joke? Sorry, let me go back.
That's all
Go
right.
back. We'll do it again. I'll pretend I never heard that. I feel terrible. I do steal your jokes. Sweep the leg.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, that's not Mad Max.
All right. It's out of your system now.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Okay.
Oh.
Anyway.
All right. Moving right along.
What was the question?
Anyway.
Anyway.
All right. Tell us what you
We're not
really
here.
think.
I will. No, don't cut this out.